the middle of this AI revolution. When you travel throughout the corners of African continent, you have the worry that Africa is not fully integrated into this AI tsunami revolution. Because otherwise, the real competition may not be between China or the United States or China and Europe. The real competition in the coming years may be AI versus Homo sapien. We need to be prepared, and we need to really speed up.
This is a small extract from what Professor Justin E. Fulin had to say during his visit to Rwanda. He challenged Africa to rethink its role in the AI revolution, warned against false geopolitical choices, and offered insightful information on how Africa can truly develop. Let's watch the rest of the video.
Africa needs to use your own brain power to make up your own judgment. In the world of today, you hear a lot of talks about whether Africa should be forced to make a choice between China versus the United States. I think that's the wrong choice. The real choice for Africa, as well as for the rest of mankind, is whether the United States is doing the right thing or is doing the wrong thing, or whether China is doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. If the United States is doing the right thing, work with the United States. But if the United States is doing the wrong thing, why should you bother about working with the United States or following its leadership? Similarly, if China is doing the right thing, why don't you want to work with China? And, God forbid, if China is doing the wrong thing, why should you work with China? Don't be forced by any other country to make a choice which will not serve your fundamental interest. Now, when I traveled a little bit in Rwanda yesterday, in Kigali, let me tell you my real observation. I think Kigali is in better shape today compared with China back in 1978, when China started to reform and opening to the outside world, attracting FDI into China. The philosophical point I want to emphasize is that if China can do this in 46 years, Rwanda and Africa can do it in the coming 4 decades or so. Have faith in yourself. China is a success story which can be repeated by the great people here in Rwanda and the great people here in Africa. Now, another piece of advice. What is the foundation upon which security should be based, not only for Rwanda but for Africa? Security never exists in a vacuum. Security should be based on several things, which are the pillars. One is maintain stability at home. The other one is keep peace with your neighbors. And the third one, as Deng Xiaoping, for whom I had the great honor to work with before, development is the hard truth. Develop, develop, develop. In that context, whichever country which can really help you to achieve your development goal, he should be a friend. But don't be diverted. Don't be confused by some other country coming to you, say, no, let's put a premium on certain other things, on values, etc. And I do not want to build a bridge or a highway or a railway or a power station in your country. But if those countries which build these infrastructure projects in your country, they are not really meant good for you. No, that's not the truth. Decide with yourself. Use your own judgment as to which countries are really helping you to beef up infrastructure connectivity, your manufacturing capabilities, and in the African context in itself. Power generation. You need power. You need to generate power. I understand, even in this great country of Rwanda, you may not have sufficient amount of power. Focus on that. Get that done. That will provide a much better context, whereby security for Rwanda, security for Africa as a continent will be better reinforced. African Union should really be more consolidated so that eventually, I hope personally, for all the Security Council meetings of the United Nations Security Council, there will always be a representative representing Africa. So it is not one of the 15 member states of the Security Council of the United Nations, but African voices need to be fully reflected in the proceedings, and consultation need to be made for African wisdom and leadership, etc. And great leaders in Africa, especially a great leader like President Karami, for example, need to lead Africa and lead the African nation to project the African voices to the United Nations General Assembly on the one hand, and especially in the Security Council. Now, the other thing allow me to mention is that while we always talk about securities on the one hand versus development, but these two things are intimately integrated. They cannot be separated. And allow me to warn all of us. We are now already in the middle of this AI revolution, artificial intelligence. I'm very much concerned about the AI divide. And the AI divide will exist between humans. For example, you with very sophisticated chips embedded in your brain, I without. Between companies, between governments, between militaries, between cultures, and between civilizations. What we need to do is to really accelerate whatever we do to make sure no country is left behind, especially African countries. When you travel throughout the corners of African continent, you have the worry that Africa is not fully integrated into this AI tsunami, AI revolution. We need to speed up. We need to mobilize all resources. And I think the open source, the AI development as represented by DeepSeek in China represents a new trend. That means lower cost, enabling all participants to play a useful role, and African continent and all the African countries have a choice to really play a very significant role. Because otherwise, the real competition may not be between China or the United States or China and Europe. The real competition in the coming years may be AI versus Homo sapien.
Wow.
We need to be prepared, and we need to really speed up.
Professor Justin E.Fu Lin's perspective challenges the idea that Africa must choose between China and the United States. Instead, he urges the continent to choose what's truly right for its own development. Do you agree with his viewpoint? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more thought-provoking content.
Africa.